10 schools admission organization, 10 boarding schools of the elite. It is where the elite get special education that is different than the education we receive. Let's explore 10 schools that make up this organization.
Phillips Academy, Andover, Mass. Phillips Exeter Academy, Exeter, New Hampshire. St. Paul's, Concord, New Hampshire. Taft School, Watertown, Connecticut. Loomis Chaffee, Windsor, Connecticut. Lawrenceville School, Lawrenceville, New Jersey. The Hotchkiss School in Lakeville, Connecticut. The Hill School in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Deerfield Academy in Deerfield, Mass. And the Choate Rosemary Hall in Wallingford, Connecticut.
There are literally thousands upon thousands of these graduates from these schools all around the world, and they make up your entire media complex. It's a system of Satan. Here are some other random notables in this satanic system.
Hey y'all, listen, I just want to let everybody know that I am alive, and I'm well, and I'm okay, and truthfully, I'm really upset that anybody had to be emotionally disturbed by what they saw today.
Each man says he suffered second-degree burns when his Samsung Note 7 exploded in his pocket. Earlier this month, a St. Pete man says his phone started a fire that destroyed his Jeep. Samsung is recalling the Note 7. Replacement devices will be available no later than Wednesday.
up in flames. Look at this. The St. Pete man says his brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone started a fire that torched his beloved Jeep. There's been a nationwide recall on those devices after dozens have also caught fire. Josh Cassio is live in St. Pete with more on this exclusive story. Josh, that's scary stuff. Yeah, Mark, we use our phones every single day. Nobody ever thinks something like this could cause so much damage, but that's what we're seeing. This is a major problem for Samsung. It's a major problem for Samsung Note owners, and there is a recall, but unfortunately for this guy, he didn't know about it, well, until it was too late. I converted from Apple phones back when some of the first Notes were out, and I've had every new Note since then. It was charging in the SUV when it blew up like a ticking time bomb. I don't think I'm gonna let another Samsung product in my house. He says he's gotten the runaround from the manufacturer and wasn't aware of the recall.
Rechargeable lithium-ion batteries are everywhere. Electronics, tablets, laptops, cars, and pretty much every single cell phone. And most of the time, these lithium batteries are incredibly safe, as long as the lithium failsafes are in place. Failsafes that work. Samsung just voluntarily recalled an estimated 2 million Galaxy Note 7s as a safety precaution. Since some of the batteries are exploding inside of the phone. Obviously, random explosions are not a feature that most people look for when purchasing a cell phone. During charging, the phone is protected by multiple failsafes. First of all, you have the part that plugs into the wall, the charger, and the cable. If the charger is faulty or not designed specifically for your phone, it can affect the safety of the battery. Samsung had some really bad luck with the battery on the Galaxy Note 7. Some estimate $17 billion worth of bad luck. Yesterday, Samsung explained that they used over 700 engineers to figure out where all their bad luck came from. So let's see what they found out. Lithium-ion batteries are made of layers, positive and negative electrodes wrapped around each other like an electrically charged toilet paper roll. Normally, these positive and negative layers are insulated from each other because, as we know, anytime the positive and negative leads on a battery touch, they short circuit and cause sparks. That's why nearly all batteries in existence have warnings on them saying not to crush or damage them. I disassembled my first Note 7 right after I bought it, like I always do. Notice that white battery icon in the top corner of the phone? I removed the battery for the teardown video. This was before the first recall and before anyone knew the batteries were exploding. You can see here on the corner of the battery that it curves in just slightly. Samsung used the word deflected to describe this curve. That deflection is what caused the positive and negative electrodes to touch inside the battery, making it short circuit, spark, and catch fire inside of the phone. I purchased another Note 7 after the first recall was complete and the phone was re-released again. See that black square on the label of the box? And the green battery icon in the corner of the phone. These two things mean that the phone is safe to use, or so we thought. Here's me taking apart the safe Note 7 to analyze the new replacement battery. My mom says I need a girlfriend.
My mom says I need a girlfriend.
My mom says I need a girlfriend. The interesting part on this fixed battery is that the printed date is August 29th, 2016. This battery was manufactured before the initial recall date of September 2nd, and before the re-release of the phone less than a month later after the first recall. That's incredibly interesting. Samsung was using replacement batteries that were manufactured before they even announced the recall, which also means this battery was manufactured before Samsung even researched the problem. It makes you wonder if some of their bad luck is self-inflicted. Now, the manufacture of these two batteries is different. The safe replacement battery is made by this factory, and the original battery is made by this factory. So Samsung probably assumed that the second battery was fine purely since it came from a different factory. It's super interesting that both the old battery and the fixed, safe battery have the same deflection in that upper right corner. iPhone batteries on occasion have exploded as well. They are not exempt from the inherent dangers of lithium. They use the same internal technology. But Apple's batteries are also straight up and down on the sides, as you can see here from the battery inside the iPhone 7. There is no deflection and no flaw, which means that the rate of failure is going to be exponentially smaller. Now, Samsung said that the reason for the second group of batteries exploding, group B or the safe ones, was because the positive electrode welding burr was poking through the insulation tape. When welding or soldering, a burr is something that sticks up or isn't flush with the finished surface. The installation tape is probably this blue stuff here, and the burr was pushing through that and touching the negative electrode. And when the positive and negative points touch, sparks fly and bad things happen. My tweezers are intentionally acting as the short circuit in this video, shorting the positive and negative layers together to effectively demonstrate the actual event. I think Samsung has done an amazing thing by recalling 3 million phones. And unfortunately losing a lot of money in the process. It takes some real backbone for a company to do something like that, and they do it for us, their customers. So I'll give them a thumbs up for that.
Alright, I wanted to show what's inside one of these batteries. This is a battery from inside the iPad, or Samsung. And all it is, you got layers of aluminum and copper foil wound with the lithium, which is the black right there, just painted on a thin layer of like a paper as the electrolyte. So you can see why there's a lot of programs to recycle these, right? You can see why all these big companies want these back. They can recycle 90% of them back into new batteries. Isn't that something? Okay, so I'm inside one of these Samsung iPads, right? Here is the batteries that came in it. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick, and they were powered in series. You can see right here, negative, positive, same on the other one, and they were in series to create enough power. But that's what powers an iPad right there, not much. This is more interesting. This here is a little bit of plastic. It's about 1/16 of an inch thick. And then you have your liquid crystal display screen, right? And I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm going to hold up it at an angle here so you can see. There's a chemical in there. Okay, so I don't remember the name of the company, but I remember being there for the first couple of weeks, learning, having my, training. And the chemical being produced for these LCD screens, the alarm clocks, every time you see the color light up, the numbers light up, or LCD screens now. This was back in the early 1990s. It had to be produced under a blanket of not nitrogen, but I believe it was some other inert chemical that I can't think of right now. But if this chemical being produced that they made, it was a very slow process. It took like weeks for it to be made. And it had to be kept under. It could not touch oxygen, and it could not touch water, or it would violently explode. It was very dangerous. In fact, the company itself even had precedent over the fire department. So if there was ever a fire, the fire department wasn't allowed to come in and do anything because their water from their hoses could make everything worse. I remember there being fires in there, and they would be kept under containment, and they would slowly let them burn out over a week and being monitored. That would be someone's specific job, to just watch the little fire inside and make sure that it didn't escalate. They could see chemically what was happening. It was very dangerous, so I left there very quickly. And now looking back and doing this video, it's coming full circle, guys. I know why I left there. I was told to leave. Okay, and when the chemical is electrically charged with electricity, or resonance was what I keep saying, it creates the liquid crystal display. So back here on the back, it has a little film that says do not touch, do not touch. So of course I'm gonna touch it, right? So when we open this up, you'll see, let me get a better look here. See the fine gold fingers there? And then this like thick film. There's like 1,000 lines on that. And what it does is the signals come in on this gold bus bar from the other circuit board. A resonance sound vibration signal comes in, goes along the circuits, activates the film, okay, and one of these little lines wraps around. And I'm not sure if you can see it there, but the film wraps around. And let's see if I can't get the lines there, so you can't see the lines. All you see is like a gold mesh, right? But just know that those gold fingers inside that film there, this little film, and it's small too, right? There's little tiny lines that come off the fingers, and they feed the front, and that creates a resonance, a vibration, a frequency. And when the liquid crystal display chemical is activated with frequency, that's what makes the image come alive. I thought that was pretty interesting. Everything is resonance, right? So it's not It's not what anyone thinks. And I'll tell you, I beg anyone out there, of the 330 million people in the United States, how many know how to put one of these together the whole way from start to finish? I say not one. Everyone's got a certain job, whether it's the guy who puts the posts on the battery here, or there's a lot of technology involved in making one of these things, and machines are doing it. You know, who made the machines, guys? Who's doing all this? You know, just a few smart people, and the rest of us are just gullible and following. You know, we're so happy to watch programs and get programmed by this equipment, but I mean, really, why? Why is everyone falling for this? It's technology to enslave your brain. That's all it's doing. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents for today.
Hey guys, enter the stars. And what I'm going to share with you today may be a little troubling for some, but I woke up this morning with the impression of truth by the Holy Spirit to share this with you. As many of you know, I have a graphic communication degree. It's a Bachelor of Science degree. And all we did was learn about color theory, CMYK, and RGB. Now, what does that mean? CMYK is the dimension of paper. And when you actually take cyan, magenta, yellow, and black layers of ink and place them on a paper and then shine light through it, what is reflected back at you is the perception of color. And all that is based on light. But what is also based on light is the RGB model, and that is used for monitors and televisions. And when you actually shine a light through a phosphorus tube and project it onto crystal, you then have all the colors of the spectrum that we see as an image in our monitors and screens and televisions. Now, what was impressed upon me by the Holy Spirit was the history of divination and crystal balls, and that's what you're seeing on your screen. And even the brief time that we're going to look at this is making me uncomfortable, because what has been impressed upon me by the Holy Spirit is that a crystal ball is in fact a monitor. Now, stay with me on this. And I have no idea any other people that have covered this at this point, and this may have been covered, but I'm going to give you some scientific evidence to show you that the Bible does in fact say that Lucifer will transform himself into an angel of light. We're going to talk about phosphorus. We're going to talk about crystals and liquid crystal display that synchronizes with the crystal ball, and how it is that Satan uses fiber optics and light to deceive us. Okay? Now, if we look at the science of a monitor and the colors, we can see here that they're able to obtain all the colors of the spectrum. Many of us remember this from the classic television sets of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It would show us the color spectrum. Now, if you red, blue, and green, this is how the science works. It comes through these phosphor elements and is projected onto a screen. See, so they can achieve all the colors of the spectrum. Okay, they can basically create an image, and that's what we see, and it looks real. Here's the phosphorus screen. Okay, these get excited as they're excited by the light beam that comes through. This is the old technology of a monitor. This is a monitor, and sideways this is a crystal ball. Now, what is phosphorus? Let's take a look at phosphorus. Phosphorus is an element that actually glows green. And it is self-described as the light bearer, Lucifer. Where have you heard that term before? Right from the Bible. Morning star, the planet Venus, phosphorescence. And in fact, phosphorus does glow green. That is the serpent color. Okay, is this all starting to come together for you? So let's take a look at the history of television and some of the major players upon the invention of television. Here's a German technician, Paul Gottlieb Nipkow, and he invented the Nipkow disc, and here's a picture of it here. Now he says the idea came to him while he was sitting alone at home with an oil lamp on Christmas Eve 1883. Christmas is Satan's birthday. The sun god is birthday. If you are unsure about this, please go back and look at my videos. Sol Invictus, or Merry Christmas, and it'll explain to you the birthday of Christmas not being Jesus, but that being that of the sun god Apollo and Sol Invictus. This is how they replace our faith and belief in Jesus Christ with counterfeits. So in fact, here we have our first indication that possibly this could have been something that was inspired by Satan himself. They talk about the infant BBC television service working with Baird's mechanical system. BBC alphanumerically is 223. It's 322 backwards. Talked about that on this channel as well. Let's look at the cathode ray tube. Did some coverage on this in this video here. This goes into more detail about how in fact this works and the history of it. We just saw the monitor and iPet goat. We had English physicists, English, German, these are all the elites of the tribe of Dan, responsible for bringing us the television set in the 1880s and 90s. Coated with phosphorus. Okay, fallen angel technology, possibly. Here's our figure 8 here. Oscilloscope, CRTs. And it goes on to talk about some of the technology. Boris Rosie, another key player, died one day before the Queen was born, 1933. She was born on April 21st. This guy was Dutch, again, the elites of the tribe of Dan. Talked about Dutch, German, English. All these were leaped forth from Bashan in the Bible. Okay? These people cannot help themselves. They leave their mark wherever they go, through numbers, through dates, through events. We had John Logie Baird, another key player. This guy was born in 1888, in August. 8-14-888. Another indication, he was Scottish. Again, elites of the tribe of Dan. First mechanical television. Color. He ranked 44 in the BBC's list of 100 greatest Brightons. 44 is half of 88. He's listed in the Scottish Science Hall of Fame. He was born at 8 a.m. 8-14-8-8-8-8. Okay, why would they mention that? Because it's part of their magic. Okay? Now, remember, you're probably thinking, why should I even turn on my television set? And many of us are at that point now, where we have turned our television sets off. But we know that Moses threw her staff, and it became a serpent. And this is how he battled the magic of Pharaoh's magicians. And I'm not saying I'm Moses, but I'm saying, yes, in fact, there would be those of us in the last days that would understand this magic that they have projected upon us through their crystal balls. And that, in fact, there will be some of us who would be able to decode that and fight against it, to give hope to those who have been deceived. Okay? Because Satan is the ruler of this world. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you guys. I know it's a lot to take in. Phosphorus, crystal balls, light, science, fiber optics, but I believe that this is truth. Take care and be safe, you guys.